Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So excited to have you with us. And we're even more excited to have the wonderful Cindy Clement as our guest speaker. Cindy was on tour with us when we launched Berberine and did an absolutely fantastic job, and definitely someone that is well loved in Canada. And she's spoken to us at conference, and she's just an amazing individual that gives her heart and soul into everything that she does. And she's going to be talking to us tonight about pain, and definitely something that is on everybody's mind, whether it's stress-induced or body-induced or aches and pains. We're all feeling it. So as her topic says, is pain kicking your butt? Well, we're going to find ways. She's going to talk about how to get rid of that ugly thing called pain. So this is being recorded, just so you know, so will be put up on the website by the end of the week. And if you do have questions, please hold them till the end. You can type them into the questions panel on the right-hand side there, but we will not be answering them until the very end. Okay, so again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being with us, and I will turn it over to you, Cindy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, and hello everybody, my Canadian family. I am so sorry that I missed you all at convention this year. My daughter and her husband were celebrating their 11th wedding anniversary in Italy, and so Grandma, of course, had to go to San Diego and babysit. So I had a good time, but I heard that it was a great conference, and I'm just really sorry to miss you because I really enjoy you folks. So anyway, we are going to start talking about pain tonight, and now let me just see this, how I move. Oh, there it goes. Okay, great. All right, the slide is talking about pain being expensive, and they're talking about Johns Hopkins Hospital saying that it costs the United States about $635 billion a year. I did a little research just before the call, and I found that the statistics in Canada are 1 in 5 Canadians are experiencing chronic pain. Now, chronic pain, of course, is associated with the worst possible quality of life when you compare that to other chronic diseases. In fact, what I found is that there is double the risk of suicide in patients with chronic pain compared to those without that pain. And so when we're looking at the dollars being spent on pain medication, realize, of course, that those all come with side effects, of course. So pain is definitely prevalent. There was a Canadian study done that showed the prevalence for older adults was about 19%. And as you in Canada and as we in the United States age, that prevalence is greater in the older adults, and females, of course, even have a higher prevalence. Now, you'll note on the slide here, it shows how it absolutely does increase with age. Now, in this Canadian study that I was looking at, 1/2 of those with chronic pain reported that they had been suffering for more than 10 years with this chronic pain, and that 1/3 of them rated that pain in the very severe range. I got to tell you, folks, that's not a quality of life. That is not the way to live. And then in that study, they were talking about that the lower back was the most common site of pain, as was arthritis. So pain, of course, when you're walking around with headaches and joint pain and knee pain, it really does impact that productivity. It truly does. And people will miss more work when they have that pain. In fact, many people with diseases such as cancer or HIV and cardiovascular disease, they truly have a poor quality of life due to persistent pain caused by either their ongoing illnesses or some of the pharmaceutical medications that they're taking. And sometimes that pain is even associated with their treatment, such as chemotherapy or surgery or radiotherapies or any of such. So again, the pain really is on the rise today. We look at Americans suffering with just so much more pain than uh, than most people. I mean, this is just, it's really a sadness. And when you look at this slide, the one I just kind of put on top of the other one, you'll see that this is showing you the number of painkiller prescriptions per 100 people. So for instance, if you see at the bottom of the slide, it says GA, that's for Georgia. It shows that there are 91,000 people on pain medication. You can kind of see that maybe the lowest use of pain medication is New Jersey, New York, Hawaii, California, Minnesota, but the highest use of pain medication in our country, and I could not find a slide for your country, although I tried, but again, Washington, Alaska, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So there are a lot of people that are suffering with pain today. Now, inflammation is really at the root of all of that pain, and many of us are aware of acute pain, and acute pain is something that it's short in duration. You've usually damaged some type of soft tissue, but it's the chronic pain that persists even after the injury has healed, even after the tissue has healed. So we're talking more about this evening about this chronic pain problem that we see so much of. And one of the ways that we can win that war on chronic pain is to live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. We're going to talk a lot about this during the presentation, but ask yourself, are you drinking enough water? Are you getting movement? I don't necessarily like the word exercise because people think that they kind of turn their nose up at it. I'm just not interested in that, but exercising regularly, getting the circulation moving, getting some oxygenation in the body, and perspiring while we exercise or get this movement, because that allows the body to detoxify, which brings us to our next point, which is minimizing the toxins. I'm very excited to tell you that next week my book will be printed. It's been a long time coming, but it is going to talk a lot about minimizing toxins in our life and how to get them out of the body whenever possible. So that will be coming probably this fall. It takes a long time to get them out, but definitely it will be out. The next point to be made is to reduce the stress. And Rancha was talking about stress, and this really can add to that inflammatory process in the body, the underlying cause. That stress could be just too much work, not enough sleep, not getting the right kind of nutrition. All of those things are going to add to that feeling of pain in your body. Now, this is just kind of an image of the anti-inflammatory diet, and Dr. Andrew Weil, and he runs the University of Arizona Integrative Medical Department, and he's a very, very famous author and integrative physician. He's the one that kind of really started talking about the anti-inflammatory diet here in the States, and what you're going to notice on this pyramid is it's quite different than you may have seen before. At the bottom, you're going to see the social aspect, being with other people, enjoying meals with other people, getting movement, getting some exercise, and becoming very active. But as you look at the next part of the slide, the next stair up, note all the plants. Plants and spices are one of the key things that we can add to our diet to reduce inflammation, and you'll see why in just a moment, as does the fish. So we'll talk about this, but then you can see that it gets all the way to the top, and it's telling us meats and sweets less often, wine in moderation, but drinking water. So this is a very visual way that we are supposed to eat. And I want to go back to that plant section where it talks about the spices, because we have talked about the herbs and spices, of course, at Nature Sunshine for over 40 years now. Here's a spice in particular that is used quite often in the anti-inflammatory diet, and it's called curcumin. Now, curcumin is just it sounds funny, the curcuminoid that is the principal curcuminoid in turmeric. Curcumin or turmeric is a member of that ginger family, and there have been thousands of studies that have been published demonstrating its effect as an anti-inflammatory plant. So using lots and lots of different kinds of spices. Now, traditional Ayurvedic medicine, and I will say the Chinese medicine has also safely used curcumin for 4,000 or 5,000 years, again, for that healthy inflammatory response in the body. And by healthy inflammatory response, we're talking about getting that inflammation down, getting that level of inflammation to a point where it isn't enhancing disease states in the body. I can tell you, we know that inflammation is at the root of all disease today. It's not just pain, it's all disease. And we really have to take strong steps to keep inflammation down in our body. So another way to do it besides just plants is to be getting more of the omega oils. The omega oils are extremely anti-inflammatory, and there are animal sources of omega-3 fatty acids as well as plant sources. So here, as you look at this chart, we call the omegas that are high in DHA and EPA, we call those the marine omegas because they come from the waters. And we call the plant-based ones the ALA, the alpha-linoleic acid. I've got something else on my mind. Now, what's interesting about the ALA is that it's very high in plants, but it's also found in grass-fed animals. So if you have grass-fed milk, you know, that's what they call it. The cows have eaten grass to make the milk or the yogurt or the cheese. Those types of animal products are much higher in the good fats and lower in the saturated fats, and we need these fats for our body. You can see also that it's going to be very difficult to get some of these fats later on when I'm talking to you about getting 4 to 5 to 6 to 10 grams a day. Where are you going to get that? I mean, you'll say, oh, well, right away I see that I can get it from seed oil, or, you know, I can get it from Pacific herring. The problem with the marine omega-3s is that they live in very toxic waters, and the larger the fish, the more toxins are in that animal. And as you eat that animal, it bioaccumulates in your body. So although the omega-3s, the marine omega-3s, are more powerful in the body and they have a better effect, it's a little bit easier to get the ALA plants or to supplement with a good clean, and I really stress that, clean omega-3 fatty acid from marine sources. So here we'll look at these super oils that we're talking about here. And again, the EPAs and DHA are more powerful because the ALA doesn't necessarily convert as easily to an omega a fatty acid that's as usable in the body. So flax is rich, and we also have olive oil that is rich, but we need to be getting both, is what I will tell you. So that said, as an introduction, I'd like to take just a moment and show you the types of pain we're going to be talking about tonight. And this is an interesting picture, and you might be looking at that and thinking, what on earth is she showing us? Well, not everyone knows what myofascial pain is. And what you're looking at here is you're looking at a chicken. And if you attempt to remove the chicken breast, you'll always see this clear, stretchy film that's trying to hold that breast to the muscle. That is called fascia, and myo is muscle. So this is the fascia that covers the muscle, and we'll talk about this as we get down the line. But the first one we're going to talk about is the headache pain. Now you're going to see that dietary triggers are found in 8 to 20% of these headaches, whether they're a migraine headache or a tension headache. And when you look at some of the things on this list, Clearly, nuts are a good food. Onions are a good food. I mean, there are good things on here. Sure, we see aspartame on there or nitrates and nitrites on there. But most of the things on this list are not necessarily dangerous foods, but they tend to be a trigger for that headache. So one of the things that you can do if you experience a lot of headache pain is to keep a food journal and just note, okay, I had, and just kind of copy these things down and say, okay, well, I had a dark beer last night. I wonder if that's my headache. You see what I mean? Just kind of keep track. But you also have to identify if there are any environmental factors. So perhaps there's more pollen out. Thursday than there was on Tuesday, or you had the windows open and more of the pollen came in, or some of these headaches are caused from fluorescent lights or loud noises. Maybe you've got a hobby and you are working with paints or some type of thing that has some volatile gases coming off of them, or maybe it's just dust, or maybe it's even your prescription drug that you're taking, or maybe you're just dehydrated. So there are different things that you can look at, and you can try to, with that journal, determine what the problem really is when it comes to your headaches. But there are some what we call headache busting nutrients that are really fabulous at kind of curbing that pain and getting to the root cause. Most people that have magnesium deficiencies experience pain in their body, not just necessarily headache pain, but they'll have worse menstrual cramps, they'll have more muscle pain, they'll have more neck pain. It's really amazing. And what we know is about half the people in North America are magnesium deficient, and I'm saying half. And North America, that includes you, my Canadian family. So when you look at this busting nutrient and say, wow, at 500 milligrams a day, I can significantly reduce my headaches, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? So the omega-3s are going to show up. You're going to see these showing up in every single condition that we talk about because, again, the omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. They put the fire out. Okay, take that fire out. Now, again, you're looking at the amount that one must take to see a striking reduction in frequency, and we're talking about 2 to 6 grams daily. So going back to that slide, where am I going to get that if I don't supplement it? So where are we going to get the magnesium if we don't supplement it? Folks, these are the top magnesium foods. If you were to go to whfoods.com, that stands for World's Healthiest Foods, whfoods.com, and you were to type in the little search bar, magnesium, you would see that these are the top magnesium foods. Now, where are you getting yours? If I'm telling you you need at least 500 milligrams every day, where are you getting it? Are you really eating, a cup of spinach and a quarter of a cup of pumpkin seeds and 3 ounces of halibut every day? I doubt it. I doubt that you are on every single day. So magnesium deficiency is rampant around our countries. The next one, of course, is top sources of omegas. And again, here we're looking at the ALA sources, the alpha-linoleic acid sources, the flax seeds, the walnuts. We do have salmon and sardines in there for the marine. But again, it's where are you getting your 2 to 6 grams per day? So you can kind of begin to see that if we are nutrient deficient in so many things, why our body is going to have more inflammation or why it is going to have more pain or discomfort. So the next one that we're going to just talk about here is osteoporosis. And you can see, as the slide mentions, that it peaks, our bone density peaks at 30 years of age. Wow, I'm 63. Imagine how much bone density I have lost. And I want to point out that it talks about the cost to the U.S. healthcare system being $16 billion. I did run the numbers for Canada just before our call, and although yours is only $2.3 billion, it still indicates that 1 out of 3 women in Canada and 1 out of 5 men in Canada will suffer a fracture in their lifetime due to osteoporosis. So again, this is a painful experience that people have. Now, osteoporosis, how it works, whether you live in Canada or the States, is that we lose on average through our lifetime about 35% of the cortical bone, and that's that dense, hard, whoops, hold on, I went too fast. That's the dense outer part of the bone, whereas the trabecular bone is that very porous inner bone. So when you start to look at the rate of loss that we experience perimenopausal, during menopause, and then 1% per year into old age, no wonder we all shrink. You know, my mother is 86, and she used to be quite a tall woman, and now I am taller than my mom, finally. But it's really interesting just to see as we age, it's very hard to keep that bone density, especially if you aren't getting the weight-bearing exercises. So what do we do for osteoporosis? Well, first of all, we need to avoid acid foods and beverages, so excessive caffeine consumption, excessive alcohol intake, or soda, drinking sodas. Because as you can see, the acid-forming diets, you then start excreting the calcium versus an alkaline diet. So the more animal protein and salt that you use, the greater the calcium excretion. So remember, we're trying to keep that calcium inside our bodies. So if it means we kind of have to adjust a little bit, maybe we should. These are some of the other nutrients. Now, vitamin D3, note that this talks about bone pain and muscle pain or impaired muscle strength. So that's an interesting thing to think about. Now there's our omega-3s again, only this time it's talking about how it's associated with, call it postmenopausal, where when we don't have enough estrogen, the omega-3s can enhance the calcium absorption for us and reduce the calcium excretion. So that's what our estrogen used to do, but now we've got an omega-3 that can help with that. But if you're not postmenopausal, you can prevent the osteoporosis. So here we're looking at the slide that talks about 29 clinical trials with 63,000 patients. And in this clinical trial, massive clinical trial, proved that calcium with vitamin D prevented osteoporosis in men and women over the age of 50. Now, calcium, of course, we know that there's a lot of deficiencies in calcium, but we also talked about magnesium already. But here's another study that's linking higher intakes of magnesium with increased bone mass density. And we need magnesium to create that usable form of vitamin D in our body. And lastly, the vitamin C, we need that for the collagen. The collagen is kind of the bounce in our bones, the knitting in our bones that we desperately need. So we've already looked at where we get the nutrients of omegas and magnesium, but where are you getting your vitamin D? Now, you know, they used to say that we only needed about 400 international units every day, but of course that has just gone by the wayside. Now people are taking 2,000 milligrams a day, 8,000, 10,000. People are just taking a lot of vitamin D because it's not getting stored in the body at all. It's very difficult to keep it. As well, because we now wear sunscreen. Whereas before we wore sunscreen, our body was able to make its own vitamin D. But my goodness, we don't dare go out in the sun anymore because we basically will burn, and we've got those UV rays that are so dangerous. So again, we look at this list, vitamin D foods. Where are you getting even 2,000 a day? Truly. And again, these are the top 4 sources of vitamin D. And note that the orange juice is calcium fortified with vitamin D. And that's the only reason it has that vitamin D in there. So are you getting enough vitamin D every day? Now, sources of calcium. Calcium numbers are huge. If you are a young woman or a young man, you can get away with about 1,000 milligrams a day. But as you reach the older years, both men and women, that number is going to go to 1,500 milligrams a day, 2,000 milligrams a day. Now, if you look at this chart, again, these are top sources. and you get 450 in a cup of low-fat plain yogurt. And the reason we stress plain is because if you've got 3/4 cup of yogurt and a 1/4 cup of fruit in there, you know, of the store-bought kind, you aren't going to get all the calcium because you don't have enough of the yogurt, is what I'm trying to say. It would be less if we had less yogurt and more fruit. But canned sardines with bones. Why bones? Because the bones are rich in calcium. So you can kind of look at this and say, okay, where am I getting that? Is this why I've got so much pain? Is this why? Because my body is so deficient in magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, and omega-3 fatty acids. So again, let's just put a little reminder in here. You got to get those omegas. You've got to get those magnesium foods, but we also have to get that vitamin C, that collagen, that knitting, that bounce in our bones. So again, the servings here are almost laughable because they will say, well, you've got to get 100 milligrams a day in order to get scurvy, which is, you know, a gum disease that the sailors all got years ago, I should say, what would I say, hundreds of years ago. But anyway, if you look at this chart, you can see it's extremely difficult to get the vitamin C. And once you cut open that red pepper and you leave it in the air and the light, a lot of that vitamin C is gone within several minutes. So again, where are we getting the nutrients is going to be my big question throughout this presentation. Now, the next one on our list is rheumatoid arthritis. And this really, the causes that we know of are either a genetic factor, some type of environmental problem, an insult, a chemical, other types of environmental insults can be just diet. It actually could be a viral infection or a bacterial infection. And some of the foods that make that condition worse are what we were looking at just before, the coffee, wheat, citrus, nuts, sugar. So although a lot of those foods aren't dangerous and bad, if you do have rheumatoid arthritis, they're not so good for you. And that's why we're going to need to go back to that anti-inflammatory diet, which is as many plants as we can get. In fact, if you're vegetarian, people that were put on vegetarian diets were able to decrease the pain of rheumatoid arthritis by 1/3 in just 3 months' time. So that is pretty significant. Now, rheumatoid arthritis nutrients, you got to get our omega-3s. This is the one that they talk about the most with the with RA is the omega-3 fatty acids. So again, where are we going to get it from? Yes, walnuts are great, flax seeds are great, fatty fish, olive oil. We need to get more fat. Mark Hyman just published a book, and it's something I just saw it on LinkedIn. It's something about I don't remember, something about eating fat. I'm sorry, I should have been more prepared with that, but I just saw it this afternoon. So something about, he wrote a whole book on why we need to eat fat, and I am really a proponent of that myself. So now let's go into osteoarthritis. Now this is different than osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is where we lose our bone density. The osteoarthritis is actually a degenerative joint disease, which in the end is a total loss of joint cartilage where it's bone rubbing up against bone, so you no longer have that healthy joint sac that kind of cushions bone on bone. So there's a grinding pain. Now you'll see that in the United States it talks about 27 million people currently, but the next number just shocks me. By 2030, more than 67 million Americans will have OA. Right now in Canada, the Arthritis Society of Canada in 2010 said just 1 in 10 are affected. So I don't know what we're doing in the United States with the 25%, but regardless, there are people that are in a lot of pain. Now, one of the things we can do, of course, is to get our weight down. All that excess weight puts people at a higher risk. You know, our knees and our feet and our hips aren't meant to carry an awful lot of extra weight. In fact, they talk about just a 10% reduction in weight, just 10% led to a 28% improvement. So, you know, maybe we should be telling our informed people that story, right? All right, so osteoarthritis, what do we have to do? There it is again. We've got to get that anti-inflammatory diet It's got to be rich in the omega-3s and preferably the marine omega-3s if, you can find a clean fish. And then we've also got MSM, which is a type of sulfur. And sulfur is a component that's necessary for the connective tissue. And the connective tissue, those would be your ligaments and joints and things like that. So we have to exercise. We have to move our bodies. Even when a person has osteoarthritis or if they have any kind of pain in their body in the major joints, even getting into a warm swimming pool and doing swimming exercises or doing some very gentle hatha yoga, just doing something for stretching, getting into some warm a sauna or something like that, just getting some movement and some heat is always very helpful. But now we're talking about this MSM, this sulfur. Sulfur is found in foods. So here is a good slide to show you where sulfur is found. So it's found in all of the brassica family, which is like the broccoli, cauliflower, the kohlrabi, the cabbages, all of those types of things, Brussels sprouts. But it's also in the alum family, so the onions and the garlic and things like that. Horseradish is very high in sulfur. In fact, meat is even high in sulfur, although that would be something that would be a little more acid forming than the plants. But we can get some of these nutrients in our diet. Now, chronic low back pain, which I mentioned before, is the #1 pain, and not even just low back pain, but just back pain in general. And we're talking about the 5th most common visit to physicians. And when you look at these numbers, between 60 and 85% of adults suffering from low back pain, I mean, that's just unbelievable. Now, I want you to note 2 things on this slide, and I don't know if you guys can see my little, I guess you can see this little arrow here on this link. It's talking about a link that goes to the University of Wisconsin Family Medicine. It's their integrative medicine department. And when you click on that, it will take you to a tremendous amount of information on low back pain. There are 3 podcasts to watch. There is an exercise handout. It's all free. You don't have to be a member. You can live anywhere in the world and access this. So it's a very, very good website. Now, I will tell you that it doesn't just have the low back pain. It has an enormous amount of information on many, many health diseases, conditions in the body, annoyances in the body. It's a wonderful website, and it changes and grows up every single day, I'm telling you. Beneath that, you're going to see Dr. David Rakel's name. David Rakel is the physician in charge at the University of Wisconsin. And for those of you who have seen me speaking in your country and promoting Nature Sunshine, you'll know that I love this book. This is a textbook called Integrative Medicine. It has everything that the website has right there in 104 chapters. And all these chapters are about 4, 5, 6 pages each. They're not very long, but they have a tremendous amount of information on dietary changes, supplements to use, the side effects of pharmaceuticals. It's an amazing textbook, and you can just order that right online at Amazon or wherever you get your books from. It's a tremendous, tremendous resource. You will love it. And for those of you who don't want the text, you can, again, go back to this website here, the FAMED. In fact, even if you just write down famed.wisc.edu and then do this integrative/resources, I don't even think you have to go any further from that, and you'll be right there on that website. And again, you won't be sorry. It's a terrific, terrific website. So let's talk about fibromyalgia. So fibromyalgia is something that results in a tremendous amount of pain all over the body. It tends to also have symptoms of fatigue, inability to sleep, lots of cognitive things and memory things, and it does occur almost twice as often in women than it does in men. But note these last 2 bullet points, how it talks about if you're overweight, just overweight, you increase your risk 21 to 28%, but if you're obese, you increase your risk of fibromyalgia by 32 to 50%. So again, this is where we start talking about Inform again. And taking these statistics to your Inform attendees and sharing this with them, because it's important that they know that as they get that weight off, they're going to experience less and less pain. Now, what do you know? It goes on and on. Here's the anti-inflammatory diet again. Now we're talking about that alcohol and caffeine and sugar again. But always, with all types of pain in the body, consider gentle movement. Qigong, warm water exercises, Tai Chi, yoga. No matter what, you just need some kind of movement so the body doesn't get stiffened. I get a kick out of my mother. She never really cared for exercises, so she made up this crazy thought, and she has talked about it most of her life. She told us when we were younger, you only get so many bends. Now, I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but she would say, don't walk, don't exercise, because you only get to bend your knees so many times. And I'm telling you, that woman is crazy. I have exercised, I can honestly say, for 40 years. I've been a good exerciser, and I'll tell you what, I've got a lot more bends left in me, so don't pay attention to my mom or your mom if she says the same thing. Now, we can see that we've got the same kinds of therapies here: the anti-inflammatory diet, getting rid of acid types foods, getting gentle movement, but also, oh look, fibromyalgia nutrients. We're talking about omega-3 fatty acids once again. Vitamin D, note, it says low levels are associated with widespread pain. And magnesium is the muscle relaxant. I mentioned previously that if you are magnesium deficient, you will always have more pain and burning in your muscles. It just is. That's one of the side effects of a deficiency. Now, there's an image of an apple here, and the reason I have that there is because malic acid is a constituent, a component in apples. And malic acid also helps to reduce fibromyalgia pain. So just to kind of, get you thinking about some more of those plant foods. Now, the myofascial pain, this is that image I showed you where we looked at the chicken breast coming away from the chicken meat and that kind of a stretchy, clear material. That is the fascia, and myo, again, is muscle. So this is muscle fascial pain. Now, these are a type of body work that was developed specifically for myofascial pain, and it's either Heller work or Rolfing. Both of those were actually developed a long, long time ago for this specific purpose. Now, this is considered the leading cause of pain, and we've got 37% of the males and 65% of females, and yet if you get to age 65, it says that the rate is 80%. So this is just kind of widespread pain around the body. Well, guess what? You don't need it. You can't. You don't need it. You don't need to live with it anymore. You've got to look at different things that cause problems in these muscle trigger points. So let's start at the top. How is your iron? Have you had your iron tested? Have you had your vitamin D tested? Do you get enough vitamin B? Are you one of those people that's at work doing a repetitive motion injury, and maybe not even at work? I do it at home working on my computer, repetitive motions. Celiac sprue can also lead to deficiencies in nutrients and be a trigger for muscle pain and the inability to absorb your vitamin D or your calcium or your magnesium. A lack of conditioning, meaning you're not moving, you're not strengthening that body. The adrenal gland, if that's deficient, if it's insufficient in what am I trying to say? It's what it does in the body, it can really be problematic. The adrenal glands make steroidal hormones. So when we have pain in the body, the adrenals would be able to take care of that. Chronic muscle pain and tension, poor sleep habits, diabetes, hemoglobin. You've got problems with your hemoglobin, hypothyroid. Maybe you've got problems sitting on your chair with your head too forward or your back is slouched. So think about that with muscle pain, but also you're going to see that the nutrients are very, very similar. We're talking about vitamin D again. We're talking about magnesium and those omegas. So there's this real strong pattern of everything that we need to do in order to get rid of pain in the body. So again, fats, top component of the anti-inflammatory diet. We need the marine if we can get it. We need those marine omegas if we can get it, 4 to 5 grams a day. And what they're saying is the best sources of omega-3, now this isn't toxicity. We're not talking toxicity when we talk about herring and salmon and mackerel. But the smaller the fish, the less toxicity. Because the smaller the fish, it hasn't lived in the water as long. And the smaller the fish, it hasn't eaten other fish. Because when you get to these very large fish, they eat the smaller fish. So it bioaccumulates in their body. But for the omega-3 itself, it's SMASH. It's salmon, mackerel, anchovy. You see what I'm doing? The first letter in every one of those words gives you the word SMASH. But again, when it comes to toxicity, I would tell you the anchovies and the sardines are probably going to be your best bet. More anti-inflammatory diet information. We've got to get whole grains. We've got to get away from the processed stuff. Everybody knows that. I don't even have to tell you that. I know that. The people that are listening, you're very well educated. A low glycemic load, again, goes without saying. We've got to get a lot of fiber. We've got to get that low glycemic and as many of the fruits and vegetables as we can, as many of the plants as we can. So we're talking about fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, all of that plant food, and then using those spices, spicing it up, using the medicinal herbs, using the spices in our foods. One, it gives it flavor and variety, and two, it's actually helping us in the long run. So the last one I'd like to talk about for the anti-inflammatory diet is something called Hiri Hachi Bu. And this is a Japanese saying that you need to stop eating when you're 8/10 full. Now, how they came up with that, I don't know. But I'm sure you've heard of the studies of laboratory animals where they've put them on a lower calorie diet and they lived longer lives. Well, you know, the Japanese are some of the thinnest people that we still have in the world, along with the Vietnamese. They're not overeating. Well, I take that back. They do now have Dawn Donuts over there, so it won't be much time until they're catching up to us. But keep in mind, Hiri Hachi Bu. All right. So this is our legal break, right, Ransha?
Yes. So far, so good.
Okay. Yeah, just take a little break here.
Yeah, we have again. So if you have any questions, please type them in the question box, and we'll answer them at the very end of our presentation here. So, so I'll turn it back to Cindy here.
All right, great. All right, well, let's talk about how we're going to get all these nutrients. Already we've seen it's literally impossible, and it is impossible to get what we need in our diet. Myself included, cannot do it. Here's a perfect way. In the Super Trio, you're going to get the multivitamin and mineral. You're going to get calcium. You're going to get magnesium. You're going to get vitamin D. You're going to get vitamin C. And you're also going to get the omega-3s. This is a perfect way just to include this on a daily basis. Now, what I like about the Super Omega-3 is, yes, they are a marine omega. But what I know, and has been verified by Linda Hammonds on multiple occasions, I have asked her this: how clean is our fish oil? And she tells me it is the cleanest of any fish imaginable. They do use a lot of anchovies. They do use a lot of the smaller fish. But when they do have larger fish, because of different sources, but when they do tend to get a larger fish, no worry. If you note on the label of the Super Omegas, they talk about how they have eliminated the dioxins, they have eliminated the PCBs, they have taken that out through their purification processes at Nature Sunshine. I rely on those Super Omega-3s to give me those Omega-3s every day that I need, every day of my life. I really do. My husband takes them. We go through a lot of Omega-3 in this house because it's anti-inflammatory. The omega-3s are going to lubricate the joints. The omega-3s are going to make sure that our skin stays rich, that our hormonal glands stay working properly, that our eyes stay healthy, that our heart and cardiovascular system, that our brain and nervous system, to me, is so important, as are all those other vitamins and minerals. But the omegas are really something that we need to get, and this is a terrific way to do so. We talked a little bit about the curcumin. Well, as you know, because I was up in Canada when we introduced this, Nature Sunshine has the curcumin BP. And it talks about promoting a healthy inflammatory response. Basically what that's trying to tell you is that it can help keep that inflammation at bay, reduce that chronic inflammation in the body. But curcumin can't do it alone. We need to add black pepper. What black pepper does, it's a black pepper extract, and what it does is it increases your body's ability to absorb the medicinal components of curcumin, increases that absorption or bioavailability by 2,000%. And so in the studies that were done, they showed that if you include the black pepper, they can detect the curcumin in the blood just an hour after ingesting it. So that's pretty impressive, I will tell you. Now, we talked about MSM. That is your sulfur, if you will. This is that connective tissue that joins the muscles to the bones, that joins the bones to, you know, the joints, these kinds of things. We've got to get enough of that. Now, we can get it in our foods. Yes, we can. But sometimes it just helps to add it back, and especially if you're trying to heal an area or strengthen an area that's weak in the musculoskeletal system. We also have wonderful peppermint oil. My goodness, I think I've carried this for 40 years. Anytime you have a headache, just kind of take a few drops, rub it on your temples, rub it across, just don't get it in your eyes, but rub it across the temples, rub it across the top of your forehead. It is absolutely amazing and how quickly it works. Even if you have a sinus headache, just breathing that peppermint oil tends to open up the sinus cavities. This is just a wonderful, wonderful thing, and it feels cooling and warming at the same time. For those of you who haven't tried it, you really need to. It's quite impressive. The next one is the Everflex Pain Cream, and I got my husband and I go to Lake Tahoe for his family reunion. On several occasions, he and I have gone up into the mountains, the Sierra Mountains, and we've done a hike. Now, this isn't just an ordinary hike. This is a hike that, as the slide says, is pain kicking your butt. This hike kicks my fanny, I will tell you. When we come out, it's a very, very long hike, and we're carrying our backpacks and things like that. It's almost 14 miles, and it's not flat. I mean, you are huffing it. I take this Everflex, and when I get to the point where I think my knees are screaming at me, I will stop. I put this on my knees, and people, I'm not kidding you, I feel like it gave me another 5 miles. It's an amazing product. You can see right on it, it talks about being an analgesic cream. Analgesic means pain relief, is what it means. So this is really a wonderful, wonderful product. My son, however, likes this next product, and this is the Typhu lotion. He's a plumber, so he is always crawling in the oddest places, and usually it's on cement somewhere or in a crawl space and someplace damp, and he is always getting in, you know, down in these crazy positions. He loves the Typhu. He keeps it in his toolbox. He will put it on any ache or pain, and again, just like the Everflex Pain Cream, it is an analgesic. It just really has a wonderful, this is more of a winter green smell, I think, but it's just wonderful to promote that muscle relaxation, kind of, again, feel that cooling warmth on an area that's painful. It absorbs really nicely. So you don't have to worry about being kind of greasy. Same thing with the Everflex Pain Cream. But these are two wonderful, wonderful products that I think you can try topically as you're working on the anti-inflammatory diet and trying to change things internally. And I think with that, I turn it back to you, don't I, Lensha?
Well, yes, thank you very much. So we do have a couple of questions here before I wrap up.
Okay.
So the first question is, Cindy, is how many curcumin BP can you take in a day?
Well, if you think about it, this is what I tell people. On the label, whenever they create a label, that is for a 150-pound person. That is standard in the supplement industry. So whatever the dosage says on the label, tailor it to your weight, because if you weigh 300 pounds, you're going to need twice that much. You know, if you're 100 pounds, you only need 2/3 of that. So I don't think it's problematic to, you know, consume a bit of that. I mean, if you think about it, the Eastern Indians eat an awful lot of curcumin, an awful lot of curry, and they have no problems. But I would say start slowly. Of course, always start slowly and work up.
Okay, perfect. Another question was, yeah, are the slides available? Yes, they will be. They will be, the webinar, the recording, and the actual PowerPoint presentation will be up on the website, hopefully by the end of the day on Friday. So you just have to go to the website and check that out. Another question we have here is, let's see here, why doesn't my mouse want to go down? How many orders am I allowed to place? You're cute. Basically, it's one per person. So basically, you can see up on the screen here, this is the promotion that is just for attendees only. It is buy 3 and get 1 free, or 10% off full PV. It is from this evening until the end of the day on the 8th. This is only done through phone or fax only. I will send a list to our customer service department, and they will have a list of all the attendees, and those are the people that are able to purchase. So as you can see here, the products that we have on are some of them that Cindy talked about. It's the MSM, the Super Trio, the Peppermint Oil, and the Thai Fu Massage Lotion. So I encourage you to take advantage of this promotion. It goes until the end of the day on Sunday, Mother's Day. So definitely something to think about and get some stuff ordered. I'm just going through any of the other questions here. I think that was it. If you do have anything else, any other questions, please do type them now while I'm wrapping up. Next we have my slide, there we go. Upcoming webinar. So on May 9th, which is this coming Monday, we have a new business associate webinar at 12 noon. So that's open to any new business associates, whether they started this month, last month, doesn't matter. They can join and learn more about Nature Sunshine. On May 10th in the evening, we will have a webinar on how to follow up with PCs and business associates, and that's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, that's open to every single person. May 17th, we have Dr. J's webinar, You Are Only As Young as Your Metabolic Age. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. That is the tour that's happening right now where he is traveling in 5 cities across Canada. So it's the same presentation will be given on May 17th as a webinar. So make sure you join us. Then on May 24th, I'll be running a webinar on what is Inform. So if you want to learn more about the Inform program and what it's all about, whether it's from a coach's perspective or a participant, so that's where you want to be on that day. And then on May 30th, I'll be running a webinar also at 9 p.m. Eastern on the NSP opportunity. So for those of you that want to learn more about that or have people that are interested in learning more, please have them be on the webinar. And more information, some of these are already on the webinar on the web. If you go onto the website and go under webinars, some of them are listed, and then others will be posted in the next couple of days. Just a reminder, May promotion is for Sharing Sunshine. Every new May sign-up gets a free stick sated with a $75 sign-up order, so that's for the entire month of May. Then we also have this promotion for renew your membership. Renew your membership with a $75 order and receive a free stick sated as well as the product guide and master price list. So that is for the month of May. Then this is super duper cool. So again, every single person that was on this evening's webinar will receive 25 I Inspire points. Yeah, so those of you that attend May 10th Manager Development webinar at 9 p.m. on how to follow up with PCs and BAs will receive 25 points. And I should have added in here Dr. J's webinar on the 17th will also earn you 25 points. And if you attend all three of them, you'll get an extra 50 points for iInspire. So definitely something to put in your calendar. Make sure you don't miss out because those are some great points to add to your iInspire totals. If you haven't heard, we're super duper crazy excited that this is our 40th anniversary in Canada.
And I want to come.
Yeah. So we're having a celebration, and it's on Saturday, June 11th at our headquarters in Brampton from 11 till 2. This is open to all of our NSP clients, and managers are welcome. It's so exciting because Jean and Christine Hughes have agreed, and they are coming up, and they're celebrating with us, and we are so honored to have them with us. We'll have light refreshments and finger foods. We're going to be doing, we'll have samples there. We'll be doing draws every hour for great product baskets. You'll meet everybody, all of our staff there at the headquarters. We'll have the finalists of our shake-off competition, which I'll talk about in a minute there. And then we'll be giving away prizes for orders placed at the event, as you can see there. So this information is also on the website under promotions. So if you haven't registered, I strongly encourage you do so. Again, because space is limited, so make sure that you are telling everybody in your downline, your organization, and letting them know. This is such a great opportunity for them to come and meet the founders and just get their picture taken and meet everybody at our head office. And we're just so excited for this event. So please make sure that you're promoting with your people. And this coincides with that meeting. So April showers bring May sunshine rewards. So dinner with the founders of NSP. So during the month of May, so just during the month of May, the top 3 people who have the most points will have dinner with our founders, Jean and Christine Hughes, as well as Jennifer Cole and myself, on June 11th after the NSP open house. So the way you earn points is for every new sign-up, you get 25 points. For every new Sunshine Reward sign-up, you get 40 points. And new manager breakouts get you 60 points. So the top 3 people. Now, if there is a tie, PGV increase over prior year will be the tiebreaker. Obviously, if you live out of town, if, let's say you have to catch an airplane, that would be at your own expense, obviously. But take advantage of this. Really excited, to be able to have a private dinner with the Hugheses is pretty darn cool. So hopefully you take advantage of that. And finally, it's the shake-off. So during the month of May, we'll be having a shake-off contest. We're looking for the best recipes using our NSP products. So you need to submit a picture along with the recipe. And you have to post it on our Facebook page by May 31st in order to be entered. And it's only 1 shake per person. And we'll announce the top 3 finalists on Facebook on the 6th of June. And then we're going to be featuring those top 3 shakes at our open house. And that's where we'll be judging for 2nd and 3rd place. And as you can see here, there's different prizes for every single level. So we're very excited about this. So we're hoping everybody will take advantage of this and be a part of it. We're just so excited about this 40th anniversary celebration.
That's something to be excited about.
Absolutely, absolutely. So hopefully you took away a lot of great information from Cindy this evening. She was a wealth of information as usual. So again, thank you so much, Cindy, for your time and your effort with us. You are truly one of our favorites here in Canada, so definitely part of our family. And we're excited for next week. We've got another webinar taking place, like I said, on the Tuesday where you can earn some iInspire points. So definitely make sure that you're there. Take advantage of the special that we have. That goes until the end of Sunday. And again, this has been recorded and will be on the website by the end of the week. So again, thank you everyone for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Thanks, Cindy, again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.